Hello, everyone. I'm Robin Hattersley, Editor-in-Chief of Campus Safety. Welcome to the show. If you are a regular follower of Campus Safety magazine, you know that recently we've been talking a lot about the cloud and how physical security systems can be moved to the cloud for greater efficiencies, security, and cost savings. We've also touched on artificial intelligence over the past several years. But has there actually been widespread adoption of these technological advances? The cloud in particular seems to have been really appropriate last year during the pandemic when so many schools were hosting virtual rather than in-person classes. Also, it was very applicable to companies that sent their office employees home to work remotely. But are campuses really embracing the cloud for video surveillance? And what about artificial intelligence? And of course, what about cybersecurity? There were a record number of ransomware attacks last year, particularly against educational and healthcare facilities. So how should campuses address their cybersecurity vulnerabilities? To find out, I interviewed Dean Draco, who is Eagle Eye Network's CEO. He has years of experience not only in physical security, but the cybersecurity industry as well. So here's my interview with Dean. Enjoy the show. So Dean, we hear a lot about the movement of physical security systems to the cloud. And the pandemic appears to have accelerated the demand for cloud video surveillance. So why is this?
The pandemic has accelerated a lot of interest in the cloud for physical security for a number of reasons. Okay, one, the folks who were not in the office wanted visibility into the office so that they could see if employees were working, if they were showing up, or if they were not supposed to be showing up, then that they were not supposed to be showing up. Okay. Second, they needed to do maintenance on the systems, okay, or check in on the systems. And so they wanted remote access. And most or many of the existing on-premise systems don't really provide adequate quality remote access. And if it is, it's kind of difficult to set up, configure, and maintain. And so a cloud-based system, you always have remote access to what you need to do what you need to do for your job. And then those two reasons. And then in addition, in general, the desire to vacate offices or actually reduce office footprints. Okay, because now a lot of the folks have learned to work from home and the company may have adapted. And so their needs for real estate space may have gone down, or they may have, empty spaces. And they don't want to have to go into those spaces in order to maintain hardware systems, right? If the space is empty, maybe they can sublease it and move on. Or maybe they want to, reduce their building usage and actually have a smaller footprint.
And how does that apply to K through 12 and higher ed institutions, and as well as hospitals?
Well, interesting. In the K through 12 and higher education in K through 12 was pretty similar. Okay, because they were doing remote learning, and the universities were kind of also doing remote learning. And so there was a lot of, vacancy and maintenance and stuff that they couldn't do, and they wanted to check in and make sure the campuses were okay. And so they wanted remote access. So I think it applies quite similarly to those particular applications as for any other. In the case of hospitals, as in the pandemic, hospitals were, overrun. So they kind of had the opposite problem. So those two use cases or those two motivations probably were not there. Okay, but hospitals, as you may have known or may have seen, have started to go to lots of small clinics as well as kind of the main hospitals. And so they have a strong need for cloud-based video surveillance because they don't want to put video surveillance equipment in every one of those locations. They want to be able to centrally manage it so that they get a better TCO, a better and easier operational.
Okay. And now there's a lot of talk about artificial intelligence or AI, so and its role in video surveillance. But how much is AI really used in video surveillance, and is it still being developed in the lab, or is it really being applied in the real world now?
Okay. So video surveillance and AI is in its early stages of deployment. So there's still a lot of work being done in the lab. There's literally hundreds of new companies formed to do AI to video of various kinds, some to video surveillance, some to other forms of video, but many, many companies working on it. But we are to the place where it actually is being deployed in the field. So for example, we're working with some companies that are using AI to do license plate recognition, right? More accurately than traditional OCR types of license plate recognition. And then we're engaged with a number of other folks who have trained AI systems for applications in slip and fall type of applications, which might be used in a hospital or on a campus or school, to graffiti detection kinds of AI applications, as well as kind of crowds and all kinds of different kinds of analytics being implemented and using AI to get better and better results. And so we're in the, I'd say the number of customers deploying this is still tiny compared to the number of customers out there, but it's actually happening for real and producing results for people in the field.
Okay. Now, in addition to you being CEO of Eagle Eye Networks, you are well known as the founder of Barracuda Networks, and you're also well known as a cybersecurity expert. So, what kinds of questions should campus leaders be asking potential vendors about cybersecurity?
Cybersecurity is a really important issue in the physical security and in the video surveillance kind of industry, business, or application. Too many people in the physical security world have neglected cybersecurity pretty grotesquely over the last 20 or 30 years. But that's starting to change, and it's getting attention, which is good. Many of the protocols which are widely deployed for access control have no encryption on them. For example, you could take the reader off the wall and put some wires together and open the door, or fake a signal. The prox cards can be replicated because there's no encryption or security on them. I mean, there's a whole host of things in the physical security industry that have not received proper kind of cybersecurity attention. But that's changing. So that's the good news. What you want to pay attention to is the track record of the company that you're purchasing from and how much attention they have given to cybersecurity. Obviously, Eagle Eye has an entire team of people focused on cybersecurity. We put a lot of energy into it. We do the appropriate, best in class or industry, standard types of things to make sure that we're as cybersecure as you can be in this day and age. Other companies don't put that level of effort into it because it's expensive. Okay. And, they'll take shortcuts. They won't do the penetration scans. They won't do the penetration testing. They won't do the black box testing. They won't go through all of that process, either because maybe they don't know how, or because, they don't want to spend the money on it, or it's not in their culture, right? Cybersecurity is in many ways a culture that needs to be created. And some companies, develop that culture because their founder is kind of focused on it, and other companies might not. And I'm sure you've seen in the news many of the fiascos around video surveillance, with video footage being exposed, video footage being shared with employees, systems being hacked, and, video being stolen. You want to look at the track record of the company that you're working with, because the track record is the strongest indicator of what the go forward is going to be.
And you bring up a really good point, Dean, because the whole idea of a culture of safety and security not only applies to vendors, but it also applies to campuses. And you want to make sure that your campus has a culture of safety and security as well, correct?
Yes, absolutely. Right. You can't you have to take the cybersecurity and the physical security all the way through. And the vendor is one piece of it. Okay, your installers or your integrators have to be another piece of it, and then the customer has to be another piece of it. It's no good if the vendor Eagle Eye Networks provides a really awesome cybersecure cloud video surveillance system, and the customer sets the admin password to password. Okay, it defeats a lot of the purpose of all the work we do. And so yes, it needs to be carried all the way through by all the players on the team.
Right, and don't use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 as your password either, right?
Correct.
Dean, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Robin. It's been great talking to you.